Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have Eric Fong out of Port Orchard, Washington, northwestern part of the country, which is a very, very pretty place. And it's really a good place to practice law, believe it or not, Eric. I've done a lot of studies, and it's one of the less saturated markets for a lot of the big-time marketers coming in. So it's a good place to practice. And Eric is, he don't only do personal injury, but he does criminal law. He's a super lawyer, top 100 trial lawyer. Jerry Spence, been there and done that, and also teaches at Jerry Spence School, which I was telling Eric before we started today that back in 98, 96, I can't remember, I'm so old, I sent one of my partners up there for like a month, and it really was a game changer for her. I mean, it really gave her a lot of confidence, and she really got to getting bigger verdicts once she went to that school. She thought about how she tried cases. So, I mean, I guess I didn't ever go, and you go, so I'm going to let you talk about it. The show's not about me, it's about you. So tell me more about, your background, and I'm really interested in just Jerry Spence College.
Well, thank you, Ken. It's a privilege and it's an honor to be here talking with you. I love it. And you're right about the Pacific Northwest. What an amazing place to practice law where, these concepts that apply to the jury, if you think about a jury trial, which is just getting 12 good people to get together and make common sense decisions, it works. The system works. And Jerry Spence in the Trial Lawyers College is some crazy stuff, some really wild out there stuff that is just downright effective. And of course, there was a split up in the college, which just breaks my heart, but there's now two trial lawyers colleges, the Jerry Spence method and the Trial Lawyers College. And I believe that they're both rooted in the same concepts. And I'm going to be going tomorrow and teaching. So first of all, Jerry Spence is just this revolutionary thinker, philosophical genius, intellectual giant, and just charismatic off the charts. And he fused this idea of authenticity and finding and discovering who you are through counseling, through personal counseling that takes the form of what's called psychodrama. And in that journey with the psychodramatic technique, we have discovered and we've learned how to use those tools of psychodrama and how to use those in the courtroom that make for some pretty powerful storytelling and just emotionally gripping authenticity and vulnerability that is, man, it moves people, it moves juries, it moves judges, and it's been developing over 25 years. And so when your partner went there, it was in its infancy, it was in its baby stages, and it's just kept growing ever since.
Yeah, well, she was really impressed with it. I mean, she said she wouldn't take anything in the world for that experience. Really wasn't. So I know you got you got awarded like the defense trial lawyer of the whole state of Washington in 2006. Is that right? Yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, it's just an honor, just being recognized by your peers. And it was just a product of just trying cases and cases and cases. And I started out as a public defender. And yes and no, my firm, this was before there were cap size and limits on the number of cases public defenders could do. And so my firm, my partner at the time, we did the public defense for the whole entire county we were in. And I was also on the federal panel. And at the same time, I was developing my private practice. So I was trying just case after case after case. I mean, I had like 1,000 cases over a year of these public defense cases. Never got a bar complaint, loved it. And I could juggle all these cases, which was part of my ADD that I learned how to harness. And so I've just always been comfortable in a courtroom and just, recognized. And so it's just, something I'm proud of.
Now, I was looking at your website and you say that empathy and compassion are the cornerstone of your philosophy and practice of law. Could you share with our viewers and listeners how you incorporate that into your practice in a way that not only leads to success, but also helps you grow your law firm?
Yeah, I believe that there's just core principles that we as humans need to be living by. And as lawyers, our profession is to help people. The same thing is true of doctors, to help people. But what we find is this burnout, this lack of, this inability to care, too many things going on at once. And we've lost the ability to listen and care. And I think if we just start at the base level of this idea of compassion and respect and integrity for the people we come across and a real desire to help, if you have that and you can take off and you use your intellectual skills and fuse them with your heart to have this empathy, you are a much more powerful advocate for your clients. And it feels good. It feels good to help people.
Yeah. You know, when I was started my firm in North Carolina, we come up with what we call the core values of the law firm, you know, and there weren't that many of them, but one of them was you treat them the way you would want to be treated. And one of the ways we did that was I had this deal that I would tell people in the firm, I said, when you're talking to one of our clients, put grandma at the end of the sentence. And if you want to talk to your grandmother like that, don't talk to our clients like that. You know, because I would not allow anybody to talk bad about a client, no matter how bad the client was. You know, we just didn't do that because I always felt like, but for the grace of God, go out. I mean, I could be me. You never know what people's situations are, right? I mean, you know, you just see in the outer part.
But isn't that the truth? And if your core value is that simple, you want to talk about growing your law firm, make someone feel like they've been heard and respected. And that word of mouth, it just kind of like filters down the streets and it just spreads because it's different. There's a compassion crisis in the world, or at least in my community and in this country that I'm seeing. And when you're in the presence of someone who actually cares and like you look them in the eye and you feel like they got it, they heard me, you're moving them at that level. And that's, by the way, not only with the clients, but with the jury, with the judge, with a witness. And when that is your core value and you bring that with you wherever you go, and you start out at the default, even with the person you despise in a case, at the opposing lawyer, the opposing expert, you start out at the default. I'm going to trust you and I'm going to give you the chance to do the right thing. When they violate that trust, then you can keep upping it. But once you start out with aggression or something other than compassion, you can never walk it back. You can always up it, but you can never go backwards to the kind place, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking, as I get older, I call them sayisms, little quotes, and half of them, I don't even know where they come from. But there's one that I always preach to my PILMA members is, they don't care until they know how much you care.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's about what we've been talking about. And that is the truth. Clients, you know, I'm also the founder of the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. And one thing I can say is those people are the salt of the earth. These biker gangs, they're not biker groups, not gangs, but there's a lot of policemen, there's veterans, there's women, there's child abuse clubs. But when they see lawyers out there advertising, they can spot a poser. That's what a poser versus somebody that really cares about them. We got a lot of members that not even ride motorcycles, but they really care about safety issues, you know, the helmets, we push out a bystander assistant certification course so people know what to do in case they get in a wreck until the ambulance gets there, so they don't, you know, they can take their helmet off properly, give them first aid and things like that. And they can see right through it if you're just all about, you know, throwing out a bunch of parties and trying to get it, you know, call me. Right. So, you know, I think we've hit on something today. You know, I talk a lot about different marketing tactics and all that, but one of the reasons I ask you on here, Eric, is going to get down to the core, because truly in talking to you, you don't do that much marketing per se. You don't spend a lot of money on marketing, but I think you do marketing, but you do it by just what you said, you turn your clients into raving fans.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, because they know you care. I guarantee you, even in case you've lost, unless you're one of those rare lawyers that never lost a case. I've always said, a wise lawyer told me one time, she said, show me a lawyer that's never lost a case, I'll show you a lawyer that ain't tried enough cases. But just saying, I mean, the deal is, if you can turn those people into raving fans, they become mini marketers for you. You know what I'm saying? But they're not going to do it if they don't. I mean, even if you lose the case, I've had juries come back and hire me where they held against me because I said, well, you rolled against me. She says, I loved you. I trusted you, but I didn't trust your client. I mean, that's just crazy, but it's happened. I mean, it really in line.
I'm there with you. I was going to say the exact same thing. And what an honor, to have a member of the community who sits through it, and the jurors reach out and they want to trust you with their life. And that's the other thing that I don't think we should ever take for granted, regardless of the size of the case and whether you take it or not. Someone has taken the effort to reach out to you. And so if you're not screening your cases correctly, or if your person who isn't taking that call isn't treating them with compassion, I tell the person who answers the phone, you are the most important person in this firm. And the cases that we do not take are as important as the cases we do take. And no matter what you do, when the person hangs up with you, they need to be heard and they need to be validated. And they need to know that when they contacted us, they were treated with respect.
Yeah.
Hey, all you listeners, be sure to join us at the 2021 PILMA Super Summit in Washington, D.C. at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, September 29 to October 2nd. For more details, be sure to check out our website at www.pilma.org. That's www.pilmma.org. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I remember one time, this has happened too. I've got referrals from people that I rejected.
Yes.
Because they said, I've talked to 4 lawyers and you're the first one to tell me the truth. The other 4 said, well, we got a conflict or we're not taking any more cases or this or that. I said, truly, you just don't have a case and this is why.
Right. My pet peeve is I'll get a referral from the guy down the street and he didn't, or she didn't have the courage to tell the client their honest assessment and just shoved them on down,
Yeah. But I think people, they appreciate it. I mean, for the most part, you're going to have some people that, they won't take no for an answer. They'll just keep, calling and calling. But most people, that woman appreciates so much. Within 6 months, she referred me another client. She says, and the person said, she said, you'll be honest up front with me.
Yeah. It's what you were saying with the biker, the folks, we know when we're being bullshitted or we have some honest talk, some straight from the heart talk. And the problem where we fall off the cliff is that too many people don't even know what it means to be honest. They don't have a healthy state of mind to really be in the present moment to carry that with them.
Yeah. So looking back, how long have you been practicing law now?
26 years now.
Okay, been doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time flies. So what would you attribute? Give me 3 things that you would attribute to your success.
I love what I do. I think that there has to be I stumbled into law. I didn't go to law school to be a lawyer. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. And I was more interested I wasn't the typical law student. I got a D in what I do now. But I stumbled into the courtroom. I took the first job I could get and I just loved it. The excitement of being a public defender, the underbelly of society and the sickness that we are capable of doing, and the cruelty with which the system treated good people who got caught up in the system, this crazy whirlpool, mixing up of lives, was a nonstop source of fascination and discovery for me. And so I loved it. I just loved it. So that helps. If you don't love what you do, keep searching and let it fall into your lap, because you can't force this stuff. And it can't be from money, by the way. If you want to make money, you need to start giving it away. So I love what I do. I think I was blessed, with certain raw, just my mind and curiosity, and physically I'm healthy so I could do things. And I work, that allowed me to work, when I worked my ass off, I got results. And then I asked for help shamelessly. I shamelessly would ask and seek out mentorship and ask people who've been there before. And I went to CLEs and I bought every book and I read them all just to learn, just keep building this base. And then, of course, the Trial Lawyers College just was instrumental for me.
So what advice, you got to have a passion. I told all my children, none of them are lawyers, by the way. And I told them all, I said, find something you got a passion for, and I'll show you how to make money at it, but, make a living or whatever. But if you're not happy, then all the money in the world, money will not make you happy. It gives you freedom.
Yeah.
But it does not make you happy per se. I've seen some miserable rich people.
Yes, sir.
I really
yes,
have.
Sir.
I was reading, I guess 6 months ago, about the guy that started Zappos. His life just went, he had millions and hundreds of millions, and he ended up, dead. Tragic. So what would you tell our listeners out there if they want to build, end up like you, being a trial lawyer of the year and really loving what you're doing? I mean, what would you tell them? We give them like 2 or 3 bits of advice.
I remember so I'm an addict, and I was really sick, and I went through some tremendous struggles in my life. And I remember when I first started getting clean and sober, sitting on the floor and looking at like my files, which is seriously, I had like maybe 6 cases, 7, 8 cases. I had just settled a massive case, and I'd been living off that for a long time, and I'd isolated myself. And so I kind of preserved my reputation. But I remember vividly sitting on the floor and looking at these files and thinking, I'm starting from scratch. I'm going to forget everything I think I know. And I am now in competition with the people coming straight out of law school. And I focused in on, I read this book called The Greatest Salesman Ever, or something like that. It's this really short book, but it's a self-help book. It's a bestseller. And I've read a lot of those, by the way, like self-help books that just good habit, like what should you be doing to live a good, meaningful life? How to win friends and influence people. Jerry Spence's book, How to Argue Every Time, The Cutting Edge. There's gajillions of books. And what you find is they kind of repeat, spiritual principles that are just truisms. So what I would say is find who you are, find out what have we been hiding inside of us to put up this facade of what we think people want us to be or who we hope we are. Because the measure of our pain, right? The measure of our pain is the difference between who we think we are or want to be and what we really are. And what we really are very rarely measures up to what we think we should be because of an expectation or what we are. And we got to start being honest with ourselves. And from that point, if you can tear down all of that fake stuff and rebuild yourself into the person that is dying to be there, that star that's burning to do great things and be special, then you're going to do it. You're just going to do it because you're living the life the way it should be lived, free of these chains that are self-imposed, images of what we, anyways, I guess I would say go on a journey to rediscover your inner happiness and health, healthy, like take care of yourself, take care of your relationships, live an honest, committed life, because without those things, then everything after that is never truly the way it should be.
Right.
It might be, we're so good at what we do, we can fake it and succeed wonderfully, like we succeed despite who we really are. So I think that would be the biggest, for me, which was overcoming my demons, was the single biggest like catapulting event in my life, much less my career.
Well, that is going to be commended for that because it's very hard.
Yeah.
I lost a son to about 3 years ago.
Dude,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I mean, myself, no, but it's, I'd almost rather it been myself.
Of course. Of course. And the suffering that we go through and that we witness, it's just.
Yeah, it's tough. But, it's life goes on and you have to pick up your bootstraps and go forward. I think that's been one of my big, well, my wife tells me this anyway. She says, you just got grit. You just never give up. You never give up. You never give up. And I think she's right, because I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the room, never have, but I think you're never going to get me to give up. I'm one of these guys that you had to break my arm before I would say, Uncle.
I absolutely. And that's the dedication and the ethic, the work ethic and the commitment, because I don't know if it's true or not, but there's this saying, and I don't have any reason to doubt it, that we use like 10% of our brain.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's no one out there we all have this immense, trillions or billions of axons and communication and ability. And by the way, how many times have you felt something in a parallel universe that is a truth, but you can't explain it, you can't articulate it. There's no amount of intelligence that could make sense of it, but that there was something going on, right? Yeah. We are scratching the surface of what we can do.
Yeah, I agree. So you like to read a lot. Tell me the last book you read.
Oh, I'm reading, I don't know the title of it, but I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I'm reading one right now that is along these lines that we're talking about, of spiritual growth.
Have you ever read I just got through reading one called Atomic Habits. Yeah, a great book. You ought to read it. It's all about the habits. It's how you change.
Good habits are just, it's Eckhart Tolle, maybe is the guy's name I'm reading. Eckhart Tolle, or I don't know. It's a bestseller self-help book that you can never read enough of that stuff. And habits, like good habits, routines, and like think of the bad habits and law practices that you see time and again. And it's like, why are you doing it that way? Like it's like you are creating so much suffering for yourself. Talk about foreseeability and misery. Like you don't recognize the causal link between what you're doing and how it's going to kick you in the ass down the line.
All right. Anything else you'd like to share with our listeners? We're coming up on 30 minutes, and anything else you might?
I guess what I would say is, I just think that in a time and place where it just seems like nothing is making sense and the news is making everything scary, and you walk down the streets and you can see it in people's faces, the sorrow and the fear, that if you can be a beacon of hope and if you can live a life that is, giving, then we need that more than ever. And if you don't find it within yourself right now to provide that, then look for it, because it's there and it's waiting to come out. It's waiting to come out, and we need it.
Absolutely. So where can people go to learn more about you or contact you?
My website, I think my cell phone, I give everyone my cell phone. It should be on the website.
What's your website URL?
ericfonglaw.com.
Okay, great deal.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Eric, I appreciate it. And I know you're in Pittsburgh now with your your daughter, your daughter, looking at colleges. And that's why we got the background with the Airbnb, for those that didn't know that. And and then you're traveling tomorrow to the trial college, right?
Yes, I am going to Colorado and going on a journey.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. Till next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success. Thanks.
Good stuff, man.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.